Hey class, today I'm going to be talking about men's mental health. We are not that different, and I'm not talking about how we look or reproduce, I'm talking about our mental health. For many years, men have been told to man up or to be a man when they show emotion or when they simply can't do something the first time. Showing emotions does not mean that you're weak, it simply means that you are human. I even recall when I was younger, growing up, hearing my cousins being told to man up or to be a man when they showed emotions or when they couldn't do something the first time. Here today, I want to emphasize the negative effects of what can happen to a male who doesn't have a good mental health. The three of many that I would like to emphasize are not being able to communicate, suicide, and depression. First, I would like to talk about not being able to talk about their emotions and how that could affect a man's mental health. Now, just think about it. Not being able to communicate with anyone about how you feel inside can just simply take a toll on your brain. Think about it like a bomb just being ready to explode. Now, from an article by Kevin Freire states that it's almost been 20 years now, and I'm still struggling with these words that make me bite a hole in the side of my cheek during my grandma's funeral. Words that caused me to withdraw for weeks on end after my first fatal car wreck. And words that damn near drove me over the edge. This quote is very alarming for a male to say. Just think about how hard it was to even write it down. To know that he wasn't even able to freely express his emotions at his grandmother's funeral, a place where others are already sad, but he just couldn't find it in him to allow those emotions to come out, to the point where he was biting his cheek. Biting your cheek is like a nervous tick when you're trying to avoid either your tears coming down or you're simply just holding back. Secondly, I would like to talk about suicide. Now, all of these go hand in hand because the brain is like a ball of rubber bands, all twisted up together, but also have their own strand. Now, suicide is the end game when it comes to bad mental health. And it's so unfortunate that some people, men and women, specifically men, can't seem to get help so that it doesn't get to this point. But unfortunately, it's how they've been made feel for many, many years and generations passed on. Now, from an article called 40% of Men Won't Even Seek Help to Get for Their Bad Mental Health by Pierre states that given that suicides are so high amongst men, 77% of all suicides are completed by men. It serves to highlight the damage that can be caused when men feel like they can't reach out for support. Now, reaching out for support is a way of communicating their feelings. And that is so uncomfortable for them because of how they were raised. And it's so unfortunate to know that 77% of the men who attempt suicide actually complete it. It is so sad to know that that is irreversible. And it's so sad to know that if they were just able to feel safe, to communicate, and to reach out for help, that could have been avoided. Now, we talked about how a male's bad mental health can result in not being able to communicate, suicide, and lastly, depression. Suicide and depression go hand to hand. Suicide is when someone is down, when someone is sad, and to be clinically diagnosed with depression is another thing, not just feeling sad on a gloomy day. Being depressed is actually one of the darkest places someone can be mentally. Now, from a quote from an article called Men in Depression by Lawrence, Melinda, and Janae states that men tend to be less adept at recognizing symptoms of depression than women. A man is more likely to deny his feelings or try to mask them with other behaviors. Now, we see this in men. Sometimes the way that they release their frustration or their feelings is by doing things that can get them in trouble, like ending up in fights, substance abuse, and agitation. All of those are simply because they can't find a way to express their emotions. But we can see that not being able to express your emotions can lead in one of the worst of all is suicide, along with depression. Everyone deserves a chance to be free to talk about their emotions. If you or you see someone struggling with their mental health, please just plant the seed in their head. Forcing someone to do something is not the way to go. But we know that just hearing something can sometimes get our mind going to think, hey, what if I try that? I understand that therapy is uncomfortable for people, and I totally get it, but just know that that is not the only way someone can get help. You can find a social group, you can journal, and the main point of all these resources is to let you know that you are not alone. And that is the worst feeling when you are feeling down, is to feel that you are alone. You're not alone. As I mentioned in the beginning, I wanted to emphasize the negative effects of what can happen to a male that does not have a good mental health. The three that I went over, of many, is not being able to talk about their emotions, suicide, and depression. Like I said, it is so sad to see that a male, a human, couldn't find a way to get help. Please find a way to get help. Just because you're a male does not mean that you don't have the right to express yourself. Thank you.